Tony Robbins wrote a book not that long ago called The Holy Grail of Investing. And this is where he interviewed like dozens of multi-billionaires and hedge fund managers and asked them straight up, hey, what is the holy grail of investing? And they said this, hey, we want to invest in something that gives us great growth, inflation beating opportunities, potentially more income with potentially less overall risk, or at least non-correlated risk. Those are the big four. And he wrote an entire book about this, and he focused tremendously on private equity, which is basically not like buying Walmart stock. Instead, it's what if you could have bought Walmart before it went public? Or NVIDIA, what if you could have gotten in on the infancy stages before it went public? Because that would have made you a gazillionaire. Everyone says, oh man, how great would it have been had I gotten in the very beginning? Well, that's kind of what private equity is. And if it goes public, then your cash out is often potentially very high. Now, a lot of companies go under too, right? But the point is all these guys said, oh man, we make tremendous returns. We spend correctly. I know that budget is a dirty word. I know it. Even in my own house, I get it. It feels weird to say that you're on a spending plan, or you have a budget, or you have to spend within your means. It just feels like, why would I retire if I have to spend within means? Well, I'm going to answer that question. The reason when you retire, you have to spend within your means is so you can stay retired. There are unbelievable numbers of professional athletes that have made 20, 30, 40, 80, $150 million in their playing career. And their playing career ends when they're 39. And guess how much money they have when they're 42? None. Between dumb divorces, bad business deals, blowing it like it's going out of style, and goodness knows what else, they have no money after they've made 40, 80, $150 million. So understand, we can't live the same way in retirement often unless we have an income plan for it. Now, don't get me wrong. I got clients that spend a couple $1 million a year in retirement. But what does that mean that they have? They have income streams that support that. It's not just based on assets. They still own asset income streams that are producing money, whether it be from real estate or Airbnbs or oil royalties or things like that from companies that their parents and grandparents and grandparents owned. But we have to be aware of that. So you have to spend within your means, and you have to actually plan for that. You also want to have a little bit of extra out there so that when you do have fun, you're not dipping into the other things. There's all kinds of bonds out there. So what we're talking about when we're talking about bond auctions and things like that, and what happens, when a country has this much debt, and we're seeing this is not one of those wonky things that we shouldn't be talking about. This is kind of a big deal for those that want to retire or that are already retired. And here's the reason why. Because not only did this get my attention, it's kind of a wake-up call for all of us. It also may be kind of like the canary in the coal mine for what's going to happen for retirement planning down the road. So what happens when we have a whole bunch of debt like we do, and all of a sudden there's a little bit of what we're seeing right now with the current administration, right, where there's a little bit more nationalism. There's a little bit more, quote unquote, national, let's defend America first type concept. Now, the rest of the world is doing something very similarly. We're seeing Britain say, oh, this is for Britain first. And we're seeing even the French go, oh, this is for us. We should be French again. Yes, let's make French. Yes, that has nothing to do with French fries. Yeah, whatever it is. So we're seeing this from the Emirati and the UAE across the board. And what does this mean? Two things. We've been watching bond auctions fail spectacularly. Now, this is where the government goes out there and says, hey, we're going to issue some 20-year notes. We're going to basically get a loan from whoever buys these bonds for the next 20 years. Now, what we saw in May, this was the lowest participation we've ever had in years. And not only that, the yields jumped. They spiked. This is a big deal, right? So not only did that mean that the government had to pay higher rates of return because fewer people wanted them, we have seen foreign countries buy about 50 billion less dollars of it, which is huge. Of the 10 largest classification groups of hedge funds, historically, private equity hedge funds average double digits over the last 20 to 30 years. That's pretty good. Year to date, if you look at the market being up roughly 7-ish%, give or take on the day, hedge funds, the better ones, are up 17 to 22% on the year. Oh, Whoa.
Mm.
Hey, John, what are you talking about, man? So the market's been doing pretty good. Last year, how did it do? Well, hedge funds have done historically very well, or private equity has done very well. As a matter of fact, when you look at the types of companies and institutions that invest in private equity, some of the best investors in the world, the Harvard Endowment, the Yale Endowment, the University or the Texas Teachers Retirement System, CalPERS, which is the California Teachers Retirement System, all of these groups own tremendous amounts of private equity, private credit, and hedge funds. Now, why do they do that? Because they want, number one, growth. They want to beat inflation. They want non-correlated returns. And frankly, they want the opportunity to grow that money. Well, that is what potentially these things offer. But, many times we may not be aware of the volatility impact. Or here's a bigger one, liquidity. So a lot of these things that are out there, my fear is that they may offer a very diluted, watered down version of private equity or private credit. But my opinion is, in those situations, you're always still going to be behind the institution that controls it.